Yesterday we took you through the steps of trimming a brisket and getting the pastrami into a brine. Now we're going to show you how to take it out of the brine, get the rub on it, and get it in the smoker. This is a piece that I put in 3 days ago, so it's ready to go. I've taken some of it out, it's hanging to dry, but we just simply take your meat out of the brine. I dump my brine down the sink, don't save it. And we want to rinse it off very well to make sure we don't have any, get all the excess salt off the surface of it. So once I've got it well rinsed, this speeds up the drying process quite a bit. I'm going to take it and really dry it off with paper towels. I've got this really nice and dry now. I'm still going to hang it in my refrigerator outside for an hour or two and get it good and tacky. If you, sometimes depends on where your drying area is at. You don't necessarily have to let it dry overnight. You just want it to be good and tacky and not super moist on the surface. A little moist is fine, helps the rub stick. So we'll go get this in the smoker.
I can see a nice ring around the meat.
Right, this piece here I cut. This was a whole piece when I brined it, and I cut it in half just to proportion size. You can see the nice deep red, pinkish color you got in there, so we know that that's the cure #1, keeping that nice red color. So this meat is should be perfect. Set this in here.
It's raining.
Yeah, I've noticed that. Little coastal mist.
Yeah,
We've got about 5 inches of it in the last 24 hours.
Welcome to fall in the Pacific Northwest.
What a difference a day makes. Alright, this stuff's nice and tacky. We'll get the rub on it now. I'm going to take the bacon hooks off of this. I'm going to use them for smoking, but just so I don't stab myself the minimum number of times. I'm going to take them off the hooks while we're getting a rub on.
Did we want to touch on the 1 teaspoon per 5 pounds of meat rule versus what we did yesterday?
Yeah, I've had some questions already about my Cure 1 ratio that I put in the pot of meat. I confused people. So the amount of Cure 1 we put in the meat, in this it's a liquid brine, so it's not a matter of how many pounds of meat we've got, it's a matter of how much water we used. So the ratio per pound of meat has nothing to do with things when you're putting it in a wet brine. I think I gave you a recipe for 1.5 gallons of brine. If you had the perfect size container and had things hung up and you could get 20 pounds of meat in that amount of brine and have it all covered up, that would be just fine. So it's more about the amount in the water that's going to soak into the meat. So all right, we got some pastrami rub here. I mixed this up a couple days ago. Keep it in my spice containers. The exact recipe will be in the description box. So we want a nice heavy rub on this stuff. Because if you look at pastrami, you can see. And in this batch, I probably overground my whole seeds. They're a little finer than what I'd like them, but you could still, if you just crush them in a pan, the bottom of the saucepan. More of a appearance thing than strictly flavor.
So up till this point, this meat could have been used as a corned beef.
It would have been corned beef. All you would have had to do is vacuum pack it. When you take it out, cook it like you would the corned beef you buy at the store.
But now that we put this rub on it,
The rub on it, and then we're gonna smoke it for several hours. Alright, I'm gonna let this brine sit on this side for a few minutes before I turn it over and do the other side. So as you can see, I've let this sit for a little bit. You can really see how the rub is absorbed up in there, just like rubbing a piece of barbecue stuff. You don't want a whole bunch of it falling off when you're done. So turn it over and get the other side done. Alright, now we'll let this side sit for 5 or 10 minutes and then into the smoker we go. So I got my briquettes going to fire up my cold smoker. If you've watched any of our other videos, this kind of old hat to you as to how this works. If not, take a look at one of the old ones that's up there, building a smoker. I think I go over it a little bit in Making Bacon Part 2. So I got some nice big hot briquettes in there. Add some chips.
people will always ask, what's the best type of chip for this type of meat, in this case pastrami?
I prefer cherry generally for all my meat. I didn't have any cherry. This is hickory. That's a personal choice item for red meat. So, get my top on things. Take a quick look inside. Oh yeah, looks like we're smoking in there to me. The first part of my pastrami, I'm going to cold smoke it, which is basically to cook it at 100 degrees or below for 3 or 4 hours. I'm going to bring the temperature up to 180 degrees inside the box and continue smoking it until I get an internal temperature of 145 on the pastrami. So if you don't have the ability to do 100% cold smoke, set your smoker at the lowest setting you can and get as much smoke on the meat at the early stages as you can before it starts cooking. So we got our rub pastrami here. We'll get it in the smoker. I'm using bacon hooks. This will be the first batch of pastrami I've actually done in my smoker out here. I've always just done it laying flat on the grill of a Traeger at my house. So this should work great. Oh, smoker's smoking. I got the pastrami in the smoker, and I mentioned cold smoking and hot smoking. So basically, cold smoking generally is considered at 100 degrees or below, and hot smoking is considered at 150 degrees above. So that's the basic terminology. Some people will tell you that cold smoking is without any heat at all other than the smoke, the heat generated in the smoke that comes out, and hot smoking always involves a burner and extra heat. So, but the basics of it, below 100 degrees cold smoking, above 150 degrees hot smoking. So we'll check back with you in 8 hours or so and see how it looks coming out of the smoker. As you can see, it's a beautiful night here in Tbsp Bay. We've got kind of a nice little sunset. The coastal mist has ended, and the pastrami will be coming out of the smoker in about 10-15 minutes, so stand by. So I took the pastrami out of the smoker. I put about 5 hours of cold smoke on it. Then I brought the smoker temperature up to 200 degrees, brought the meat up to 145 internal. Took it out. It's been cooling overnight now, but it's not ready to eat yet. But at this stage, this is we could vacuum pack it and freeze it until we were ready to eat it. You can see here we got the nice pink color all the way through. So to cook this the rest of the way before serving, what I do is steam it for couple hours until it's fork tender. Find it. Oh. And when you get done, when it's done, your internal temperature of the meat should be up around 200, 203 degrees. Let's make it real good and tender. Well, this is, looks like it could go a little longer. Let's see what this piece feels like here. Yeah, we're gonna let that steam a little bit more and cook a little bit more for the taste test. Meat's now up to about 205 degrees internal,
Oh, that looks good.
and we'll do a little slice and a little taste test.
And who will your crash test dummy be for the taste test?
Stan from Woodcutting for Bacon fame, and you, the cameraman.
Stan who cuts wood for bacon.
That's it.
These three pieces here are off of the flat, and we got some slices coming off of the
Point.
point now too. Point be a little juicier, got a little more fat in it. So
And fat is
juiciness and good.
flavor. Fat is flavor.
So
Oh, here we go. First up, Stan will check that is the point.
Check the point.
That is the tender, juicy, fattier cut.
The point is on point.
Yeah, good. So describe it.
Tender, tasty, very flavorful.
Good. Ron, you want to hop in there?
I've eaten myself almost to death on this stuff, but I honestly don't think I could improve on this any. This is really, really good.
And we're still sober. It's relatively early on a Saturday.
Brent, try a piece of that nice warm stuff.
I'll take that piece.
There you
Thank
go.
you, Stan. And it's going in the mouth right now. Oh, wow. Yeah,
That's good stuff.
that dog will hunt. Okay, that's the point. I really like that. I really like how juicy it is.
Take a bite of the flat is not as juicy as the point, but it's still got excellent flavor.
Okay.
Better than anything you get in a store.
Oh, wow. Yeah, not as juicy, but a little less rubbery, kind of like Jeanette. I don't even know what that
Want
means,
that piece there?
but she
Throw
made
it
herself
down, what do you
available.
say?
Yum.
You going outside to kill bears?
I'm going outside.
Okay.
So, that's pastrami. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you try it yourself. If you do, let us know how it works out and what kind of meat you used, etc. So, till next time.